Connecting to cloud server. Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's podcast. And we have a special guest today, Nitin Gupta, as known as Charlie.
Yes.
So, few words about him. Of course, I had the pleasure to know him. So I'll have to go back, 26 years ago, I guess, 1999. Right. So you are in the last wing of Hostel 2. Like I think it was called
Buzzards.
Buzzards, correct. So all the EP guys and all the aerospace guys were in the same wing. So I knew all of you, right? Charlie, you were there, Mobile and Manish, a whole bunch of people. Very nice, nice people, very friendly. So I was always very impressed by the passion that these aerospace guys had, right? So I had my own passion. I took engineering physics because I was interested in astrophysics and cosmology, these kind of things. So the aerospace guys were really into their own stuff. So really passionate. But back then, of course, we had no idea how what we'll do in life later. So I'm really happy and privileged to know Nitin Gupta, who is going to tell us about his journey and what he has achieved, especially about AI. So I'm not gonna make this introduction too long. So it's all over to you, Charlie.
Hi, Rahman. So good to meet you after a long time and good to see a lot of familiar faces. Seeing a lot of people after almost like 20-25 years.
Yeah.
So great to be here amongst you guys. So let me quickly share know what I have been up to last 20 years since we graduated from IIT Bombay. So just a 5 minute kind of quick summary of what I have done over this time. So went to University of Maryland, did my masters in aerospace. So I've been working on aerospace on the drone side of things, basically autonomous flying vehicles. So that is what I did at University of Maryland. After that, I came back to India, worked for a few startups, and then started my current company, which is FlytBase. So I've been running it for last 10 years. And what we do here is we build the drone autonomy software stack. So basically, a software stack for drones. So the goal is to help large enterprises deploy autonomous drones for various applications such as inspections, security, doing compliance, and things like that. So we work with a lot of Fortune 500 kind of customers. So we work with large oil and gas companies, mining companies, construction companies, power utilities, and so on. And these guys are deploying now drones at scale. So we work with the likes of Aramco, Shell, Chevron, Anglo American, CSX Railway, Excel Energy. So a lot of customers in US, in Europe, Latin America, Australia, Southeast Asia, Middle East. And all these people are now beginning to deploy large number of drones in order to collect aerial data of their assets. So this is for oil and gas fields or rail yards or solar farms. So where using aerial data, they are able to do inspections of their assets. They are able to run security operations, understand what is going on from point of view of security. So the point is that once you have very large areas, doing it with any other technology like CCTV cameras or fixed sensors becomes not scalable. So it is like CCTV cameras and such kind of technologies are good for small limited areas, but when your areas become huge, that is not very scalable. So using something like drones is the only way to capture that quality and that amount of data. And now, since last year or so, we have been working on building the entire AI native platform, which goes beyond just drone operations. So before AI, our goal was limited to just helping our customers collect this data using drones. And we used to take care of the entire management of drone fleets using our software platform so that you don't have to send pilots to fly these drones. Our software will fly the drones, coordinate these drones, collect all the data, help you kind of understand what's going on, but only limited to largely collection of data and then integration of that data with various other applications like GIS applications or security applications. So there are other third-party applications. So we used to just collect data using our platform and then plug that data into other platforms. However, now with AI, we realize that we need to think from first principles. We need to reimagine what kind of value we can create and what is it that will make sense in this world. And we realize that with AI, now there are so many new opportunities that are available in terms of how you understand that data, process that data, and provide that value to the end users. Because before AI, collecting data from multimodal sources, that is drones or ground robots or IoT sensors, CCTV cameras, and understanding all that data and doing causal analysis on that data was almost impossible. So people have been trying to do predictive analysis, to piece all this data together in order to do forensics, in order to do predictive security. However, nothing really works in practice. So now with AI, there is an opportunity to reimagine or re-engineer all of these things in an AI native manner, where can we now fuse all this data together and create a much better understanding of the entire facilities. So what we have been working on since last few months is building out this platform, which is a operational intelligence platform for large sites. And we have started now working on POCs with some large Fortune 500 kind of customers, where we are working closely with them to get data not just from drones, but also from other sources like CCTV cameras, IoT sensors, etc., and use all this multimodal data to understand things from security point of view, from inspections point of view, from compliance point of view. Because now you can have different agents who are looking at that data from different points of view. Right. So it's a like a different way of thinking and implementing something like this. So we are quite excited right now about building this entire platform, which is going to be like something orders of magnitude bigger and more impactful than what we were doing before AI.
Nitin, thanks a lot. That was a lot of information to digest. Yeah, great. So I'll take a pause at this time and see if anybody has any questions.
Yeah. So I have just a basic question. So you said application of this data is for compliance, inspection, and what else did you say?
Security,
Security.
physical security.
Oh, physical security. Okay, okay. Of their premises and
Of their premises, because like these are large premises, so they have a lot of security issues, physical security issues. So they have security guards, but guards can only do so much. They
okay.
also have CCTV cameras, fence alarms, all kinds of sensors and everything. But still, it is very difficult to piece together all this information and figure out what's going on.
And in inspection of what?
Inspection of different kinds of assets. Like for example, when we work with oil and gas customers, these could be like in so where they have their pumps, their oil pumps, etc. So doing inspections of those pumps, or in case of solar farms, their solar panels, so doing inspections of those. So basically think of any large facility, you will have a lot of equipment, and that equipment needs inspections and periodic maintenance. And those inspections is very cumbersome today, and it's very difficult because it's largely manual. You have to send people physically to go and check what's going on. And a lot of these inspections can be done with visual data. However, before AI, it was very difficult to train models and be able to get that quality interpretation of what each image means. So
Hmm.
they were using drones to collect data, but then they had to have humans looking at that data and making those calls, whether there is rusting here, there are cracks here, there is some other issue here that needs maintenance. So now with AI, a lot of those things can be done, like using visual language models and things like that.
Okay. Oh, it
Great.
also has aspects of vision, right? Computer vision technology, something like what Nitin Jain's Assert AI does.
Uh,
Is
so
there an
computer
overlap?
So computer vision is now kind of getting deprecated because there is much more powerful this vision language models and things like that. So
Acha.
those are far it's a different way of solving the same problem.
Acha. Got
But
it.
but if you look at it, it's just magical. It's amazing at the level of details it is able to get into and the kind of insight.
Okay, got it.
Right.
I would
Very
be
good.
interested in knowing, getting a bit technical here. Can you tell, because you mentioned vision models work differently than the classical or traditional computer vision or image processing. Can you tell us a little bit in detail so that we understand?
Right. So, see, computer vision is typically associated with algorithms that are deterministic. So, like whatever we do with OpenCV, the traditional things that many of us are probably familiar with, those are kind of deterministic algorithms. Those are not stochastic, or those are not built and designed in a way like LLMs operate.
So
Right.
like
So,
cats and dogs, for example, you have your deep neural network, and we have annotated labeled data. We run supervised learning to predict cats or dogs.
so that is machine learning, what we used to do in machine learning till a few years ago, where we would train it on thousands of images or few tens of thousands of images, but it was specific features. We used to train it on specific features or specific properties, and the model will only work for that. Now with VLMs, it is trained like LLMs, so it's like huge, like it's very very deep networks, a lot of layers. What we do with language in LLMs, something similar for video, and similarly for audio. We have all the audio Gen AI audio models. So basically now there are very good multimodal kind of capabilities available, which work not only in text but also for vision, for audio,
Okay.
for all kinds of data. And the basic principle is similar, where it's very large amounts of data and very deep networks, lot of layers and lot of compute. So those three things put together are able to create that kind of magical output that people did not expect them to do. Like in case of LLMs, if you listen to any of these podcasts by Dario or even Sam Altman and others, they like you can get a sense that the kind of output that we have been able to get through LLMs, that was something that people did not expect a few years ago. And then as this magic started happening, they just started throwing more and more data at it, more compute at it, and more layers uh, at it, and it just kept getting better. And that is law of scaling that people talk about.
So what kind of you're talking about basically emergent properties, right? The things that just came out, nobody knew. And so in classical image processing, you could predict certain thing, what is the image or who is it, this kind of thing. Now with this vision model, do you have image understanding? Like, can I put my image, let's say, or my vacation, I took a snap while I was on vacation. Can I ask, what do you see in this picture? Am I close to a beach or am I in a mountain? These kind of things. Is it possible?
Exactly. So like the background that you have right now, it will be able to exactly tell you that it is, from a beach. There is a nice palm tree there. There are some mountains in the background. So without any specific training on these things, it will still be able to interpret and tell you, or it will be able to tell you that it is daytime right now. There is a nice blue sky, above you, etc. So it is able to understand those images and tell you very accurately as to what those images contain.
So yeah, so guys, just on that, recently I saw these sunglasses. So one of my friends got them, right? So those sunglasses have AI in it, and when you use it, I mean, obviously, simple part is recording, not recording, but it's you ask it a question and it's able to tell you what's happening. So this guy got it when we went to play cricket. So I asked the AI or the sunglasses, okay, what do you see? It said, okay, I see a cricket field in front of me. There are people playing. Then I started knocking the ball with the bat, and it said I can see the ball bouncing on a bat. It seems some people are playing cricket. It was quite smart. I was quite surprised by it. Yeah, and you see a board, and you can ask it, what does the board say? What is it about? And all those things. So it's quite useful.
I think the easiest way to experience this is just use Gemini app on your phone, and it has a video mode, and you turn on the video mode and you can start showing it your room or your like outdoors and start talking to it, that what you see, where is this thing, where is that thing, and it'll understand everything, and it'll give you like very good answers. You'll be surprised.
If your bicycle is broken, can it fix? If you
Yeah,
show,
yeah,
show.
it will be able to tell you where the issue is. And actually, like people in my office, they have done that exact same application. Like
Okay.
bicycle was broken, and it was able to guide them that do this, do this, do this, and
Very
Oh,
nice.
really? Wow.
it was able to look at those
That
parts,
will be very useful.
give good
Yeah,
suggestions.
nice.
Nitin,
Amazing.
Yeah.
did you try to make it understand written language?
Oh, that is very easy. So you can just take a snapshot, even Chat GPT. You can just take written, no, whatever
Hmm.
handwritten notes, give it to Chat GPT. It will be able to understand and give you clear notes.
That's based on the optical character recognition, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, no, so
Yeah.
it is again, it is
see.
not the traditional OCR. Traditional OCR was still again deterministic algorithms or very little kind of stochastic stuff.
Mm.
It is more of deep learning or this LLM based approach, but for vision.
तो हम लोग उसको
uploading
can you hear me?
Pratik is saying something. Can't hear you.
Because I've tried with traditional ones and it doesn't work much.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
No, please carry on. I will.
No, we can hear you now.
We can hear you.
I was saying that I regularly use like upload some images,
Mm.
let's say from textbooks, etc., and ask questions based on that. That like create questions on top of it, or let's say it has some graphs, so analyze those graphs. That is very, very easy. It's kind
Yeah,
of
printed is fine, but handwritten is always great. It doesn't
right.
recognize most of the
No,
time.
no, it's a solved problem now, Anirudh. Just try it out. It works very well. It used to work like 4 months ago. Now it's getting better every week. So it must
Yeah, I
be.
tried it last year. So
No,
1
the
year
world
is
has changed in last
decades.
few months. The world is changing very,
yes.
very fast right now.
तो हम लोग बोल
Hi, Jayesh.
हेलो तो जेमिनाई की बात हो रही है तो हम लोग बोलते हैं LLM but basically these are like multimodal models now.
Yeah.
So we are still calling them large language models, but training data has lots of video and images. So multimodal inputs can be presented to these models. और वो जो Gemini का ऐप है वो Google में जो circle to search वाला feature है या you can present. Actually, I have tried and it's pretty impressive what it can do now. तो अगर कुछ टूटा फूटा है घर में, मैं अभी आइसलैंड गया था, तो वहां पर लैंग्वेज प्रॉब्लम हो रहा था. तो अगर दूध लेना है, दूध पता नहीं 1% 2%, तो अगर उसको प्रोडक्ट का पिक्चर दिया तो देन इट जस्ट फाइंड्स आउट उसके सारे डिटेल्स एंड क्या है वो एग्जैक्टली प्रोडक्ट, उसके क्या इंग्रेडिएंट्स हैं,
अच्छा,
वेजिटेरियन है कि नहीं है, यू कैन आस्क इज दिस वेजिटेरियन.
अच्छा,
मतलब ऑब्वियसली कुछ रिकॉग्नाइजेबल ब्रांड इमेज और कुछ डिटेल. तो आई यूज्ड इट अ लॉट. ट्रांसलेट तो खैर काफी समय से चल रहा है. टेक्स्ट यू कैन प्रेजेंट इट, टेक्स्ट इमेज से निकाल के उसको ट्रांसलेट कर देगा. So I experienced this firsthand last week, and this multimodal models are pretty impressive now. So हम लोग LLM बोल रहे हैं, but it is beyond language already. It is beyond language already.
Multimodal. और
ये सब तो ठीक है. ये बताओ कि बीवी का फेस देख के बता सकते हैं कि क्या सोच रही है या कैसा. जिस दिन ये हुआ तभी मैं मानूंगा, तब तक बाकी सब चीजें इजी है.
तब तो
AGI आ जाएगा ना तब. उस पॉइंट पे तो AGI आ गया.
AGI नहीं यार, AGI भी नहीं कर पाएगा.
That can be the definition of AGI.
So by those standards, even we are not AI.
ASI.
ये काम नहीं चल रहा, सुपर इंटेलिजेंस.
आर्टिफिशियल सुपर
इंटेलिजेंस हो गया.
Anyway, I think that was a good break, Nitin. We should allow. Yeah, go ahead. Maybe take the last question, and Nitin will allow you to get deeper.
Yes, I want to ask you, how do you take from all these devices, all your drones which you have will have very low memory, low compute power. So do you send all these to the server somewhere and then it responds back?
Right.
Or it just everything is acting on the server only and there's nothing on the drones?
Right. So
with all this AI stuff.
There is hardly anything.
All these microprocessors have increased in their capabilities, but not so much, I think.
Right. So there is hardly any processing being done directly on the drones. Drones ke upar to what you do is what is necessary for navigation. So in order for autonomous flight, so that it does not collide with anything, so uske liye whatever minimum is necessary is being done on board the drone. For which they have ASICs, very well defined whatever algorithms and which are running on those embedded devices. But then everything else is going on the cloud, or otherwise it is going on a server on the ground. So on the ground you have like stack of GPUs or whatever. So all that data is coming on the ground, getting processed there, and then you draw the insights. And these things need not be very hard real time, because you are trying to understand the security, or you are trying to understand inspections of assets. So you have to run it on board. It is not time critical as such, because if there is a delay of a few seconds or a few minutes, it does not really matter. It will only be used for generation of these reports that somebody will look at later.
All right. So Charlie, maybe you can move on with your tech now.
ठीक है, तो let me talk about a few things that I thought will be interesting for everyone. So one is actually we spent several weeks or like months where we were not able to sleep क्योंकि we were spending a lot of deep thinking time on what does this AI really mean and how will it change everything around us. So we have been looking at AI for a long time, but earlier the technology was not that mature where it can impact like our everyday work, right? Because it was very specific that you can do certain kind of things, certain kind of analysis, but it was not generic enough. Now what has happened in last 6 months is it has become truly very, very powerful, where it is able to impact almost everything that we can think of, and it is getting better very, very fast. And that made us lose sleep. And no, we did a lot of like deep thinking, a lot of deep discussions, and almost like the work came to a standstill because we decided to like first figure out what is going on and how to make sense of it before we proceed ahead. And that is where we realized that basically the questioning was around what is the real mode. Because if everything can be done so fast, and basically what it boils down to is how curious you are and how much you are able to push AI, and it will only keep getting better and better. So what is it that you should be doing which really constitutes a mode, so that you are able to compound and build something differentiated which will last at least a few years. Of course, there is, it's very difficult right now to build anything that will last even a few months. So how do you at least get onto a trajectory which is helping you build something meaningful? And after a lot of deep thinking, we came to some realizations. One is, of course, the world has completely changed. And if we are doing the same thing that we were doing a year ago, then probably we need to think a little bit deeper. Why are we doing the same thing? Because with AI, the cost of doing stuff has suddenly reduced significantly. Basically, the cost of building software or cost of doing sales or cost of doing marketing, everything has shrunk significantly. What that means is that we have to think of something bigger. We have to fundamentally reimagine कि हम जो कर रहे हैं, is it even big enough to be called a tech startup or to be called a venture scale business? Because if everything is becoming so easy, that automatically means that entry barriers are reducing or your competitive edge is reducing because so many more people can do the same thing that you are doing.
Yes.
In fact, if you have been in business for more than a year, it is very likely that whatever you have invested, time, effort, money in building whatever you have today can now be disrupted at fraction of the cost and effort. So everybody is a sitting lame duck in that sense, because if you have invested 10 million into building something, now it can be built for 100K. So how will you recover whatever investment you have made unless you have already recovered it? So basically, there is a lot of sunk cost which will be very difficult to recoup. And it becomes important that how are we letting go of that and now building something which actually will be worth defending. Um, so that is where I think a lot of founders, a lot of people who have been around for more than a year, they have a lot of thinking to do, that what to save and what not to worry about. Otherwise, we might end up putting good money after bad money. And at FlightBase, what we came to realize is that whatever we have built so far, no, it has taken us several years to build it. And now, if we fundamentally think as an outsider, if somebody has to recreate it, it can be recreated at fraction of the time, money. So what should we do going forward? And that is what where we realize a few things. One is speed is the only mode, and that is what we now say, like talk about internally, that building features is not a mode, and building an AI product is not a mode, but being able to run at AI speed, that is the mode, and not many teams are able to do that. What I mean by that is, if you are able to churn out features at AI speed is like 1/10 or order of magnitude faster than what it used to be 1 year ago. So whatever you were producing 1 year ago, suppose you were producing two new features every 2 months, can you now produce two new features every 2 weeks or even like shorter times? So just try to shrink the timelines by order of magnitude, at least one order of magnitude, if not two. and benchmark yourself against that are we able to now run at 10x 100x the speed of what we used to run at, right? And in order to do that, you have to think about operating almost every function in your organization with that speed. It is not just the adding a technical AI feature in your product. It is about how you do product management, how you do product design, how you do sales, how you do marketing, how you do hiring. Every function can now be made orders of magnitude more efficient, faster. Um, and
Charlie, can I take a pause here? Because,
yes.
yeah, it's again a lot of information. Thanks a lot. Very, very relevant, very, very
हाँ,
exciting.
ठीक है, digest करते हैं थोड़ा.
Yeah, I thought I just करते हैं. I have a couple of maybe questions and comments. So one comment, or can call it a question also, is that I get a sense that you're absolutely right. I have the same feeling that speed is probably very, very important. And I've heard other people, including Elon Musk, saying this also. Like he specifically talks about startups, and he says you don't need to worry about like patents and intellectual property. Just move really fast, and that's how you protect your thing. And with AI, I think it is more true than it has ever been.
Exactly.
So with that in mind, do you think there is a major disruption that is going to happen, that the startups will become more powerful as opposed to bigger companies and corporates that are moving much slower? Like I work in a corporate, and all that also in Germany, and they are very they're following the traditional approaches, and they are of course trying to do things with AI, but the speed is really the snail speed in my eyes. So do you think there will be major disruption in the space itself?
Absolutely, absolutely. मतलब it is inevitable. There will be major disruption. The giants of today will face existential crisis, and it will happen sooner than we could imagine. Because again, if you listen to all these people and if you see the pace at which things are moving, it's really amazing how fast things are moving. We have never seen anything like this before, and uh, the fundamentals of how you think about teams, how you think about your organizational structures, how you think about roles, how you think about job descriptions, all that is getting disrupted.
Nice.
Right.
Wow.
So, for example, like one of the simplest mental models that you can think of is a lot of execution that we used to do was series execution. Right. This is software development. We think of there is a product manager, then there is a product designer, then there is a developer, then there is a QA person, then there is a DevOps person. So if you see, it's like an assembly line. And this concept has been borrowed from factories. Like factory can there are assembly lines. There's somebody building one piece of the equipment, then second piece, third piece, then all of this will come together. And finally, you take something to production. Finally, the car is produced. Right. So we have been so used to this series sort of way of building complex things. Now, with AI, it has become possible that you can spawn agents to do a lot of this individual tasks, or these making components or doing design or doing product man. So a lot of these things can be handled by your team of agents, and now a single person can more or less go from start to end. So basically, how can you reimagine the way you produce anything in a parallel fashion instead of a series fashion? So basically, take smaller chunks, go from start to end instead of handing over from one person to the next person to the next person, because then
The hierarchical structure will crumble down to more a flatter structure.
that is like each person is going from start to end, so that each person has to have a lot of context about the customer, about the product, about the value, and each person should be able to think about what the customer wants and are we able to deliver that value, and what feedback are we receiving from the customer, again go back and make those iterations in the product.
Got it.
More you
Yeah.
empower individuals, the faster you will be able to go, because fundamentally your org structure will change. And now you are able to rethink your product into smaller pieces, but each piece is working in parallel, and each person is able to go from start to end, instead of how we used to do earlier, where there were these teams of product managers, product designers, and developers, and QA. So it was a series ordering of teams. How do you shift that from series to parallel execution? And why that is important is क्योंकि अभी तक क्या था ना, each function was complex in itself. Like product management is a complex function, product design is a complex function, and you will be spending a lot of time in product design before it goes to the developers for actual development, and then developers will spend several weeks into building it out before it goes to QA. Now, with your agents coming in, the cost of execution has dropped, and the cost of handovers has become a major cost of total execution. I mean, total जो delivery करने का cost है, it is, you can think of it in two parts. One is execution of the product management function, execution of product design function, execute. तो हर चीज का execution cost है, and there is a cost of handovers. To pass that from product design to product development, and then you go from development to QA. तो वो जो interfacing का cost है, that the handover का cost, now that is becoming the major bottleneck in order for you to be able to go fast. To minimize or eliminate those handovers. जब तक वो structural change, no, we don't do that structural change in the way we have organized our teams. We
Okay.
will not be able to run at AI speed.
Oh.
Got it. Okay, I have another quick question before I open it up for everybody else. So more and more I find that it is important to spend a significant amount of your time to keep up with the pace, right? So previously we read some news, we went to some conferences and we talked to some people, it was enough. But I think we need to spend maybe 30% or even 40% of our time just to keep up with what's happening out there. And I, as an expert in AI or as a data scientist, I do that. And for me, what has been quite effective, I would say, is listening to podcasts and maybe subscribe to some newsletters. So I get quick news. Okay, this has come out, or this new model has come out, or this is able to do this, or this company is moving in this direction. So I get a kind of sense, and sometimes I pick up some new tools and I try it. So I want to ask you, for all of us, because you said that we started thinking, we couldn't sleep in the night. So you must have thought really hard and kept up with, of course, this thought itself came to you because you realize what's happening out there. If you are not in touch with what's happening out there, you are actually you're kind of out of phase. So I want to know from you what in a practical sense on a daily basis works for you.
Right. So you are absolutely right. It is becoming very important to allocate dedicated time in order to just keep paced, in order to just keep reskilling yourself or becoming aware of what's going on. And like for example, at our company, we have made Fridays completely optional in the sense that Fridays you don't have to work on any of your regular stuff. You just spend Fridays in catching up or conducting experiments of all kinds. So like Google used to have, right? So 20% time just for experiments. So see, when Google introduced that concept, that time there was a gold rush in terms of what you can do with the internet. And it was very important to have a lot of time allocated to experimentation because everything was new on the internet world. How do you do streaming of videos? How do you do like chat rooms? How, like everything was open for disruption or new ideas of getting things done. And that is why it made a lot of sense to spend that dedicated time. Right now, what we are going through is a change which is much bigger than what internet was, right? It is like orders of magnitude bigger disruption, and it's a complete rewrite of the operating system of our world. So it's a major thing that is going on right now, and 20% is the minimum that we need to dedicate in order to just catch up and experiment with things instead of just doing regular stuff. We might have to increase it to maybe 40% because the pace of innovation is just so fast right now.
So as a leader, if you're leading a company, you could allow such a span of experimentation to your employees. Basically, that's could be easy.
And also building a culture of experimentation where like experimentation, the basic meaning of experimentation is that a lot of experiments will fail. So being okay with that failure. So instead of measuring the performance on how like how many things were successful, just focus on how many experimentations were done. It's okay if 90% of those experiments fail.
Right. Sounds great. All
So
right.
is that something
Hey
what
Nitin,
you
I
do?
have. Hey
Sorry.
Nitin,
One by
can you
one.
guys hear me?
Yes.
I have a question. So, for example, like I have been recently experimenting with like these chat GPTs to write like some of the models. So it generates a code. So how much time do you spend in actually like code is fine, but like how much confidence or how do you test it? In the sense, how much time do you spend in like testing or how do you go about it?
if you're using it for code development.
Right.
Because I think like that is where like my biggest struggle is. Like I would come up with ideas, it would write the code, but the thing is, if I have to still read the code line by line or have a complete exhaustive suite of tests, then I spend all my time writing the tests. And so how do you deal with that?
Right. So, we had to build a lot of internal tooling in order to be able to produce code at scale that we can trust. Because the problem with LLMs is like even if you're writing emails, right? So if you tell it write an email with such and such thing, it will produce an email. But is it the best quality email? Is it something that you would do manually? And building that quality and building those gate checks or no guardrails, etc., that is what becomes very, very important. And are you able to give it the right context so that it is able to produce that high quality? So I'll tell you internally what we realized is that producing code is going to get easier and easier. It will produce a lot of code, but the bottleneck will be in QA. Right, the bottleneck will be how fast are you able to validate whatever has been produced.
Correct.
And we decided to put our best people on building internal QA systems and not worry. Like building code of course also needs great people so that they are able to give the right context, build the right guardrails, etc., so that right code is produced. But QA is that is like where you will need a much more sophisticated level of engineering. So you think of okay, I'll give you one more mental model. How we now think is that we are no longer writing code, right? Our engineers are no longer writing code. They are building a machine that produces that code, right? So they are now operating at a meta level. They are not actually writing code, but they are building frameworks that produce that code. And they are also making another machine that does QA of whatever is produced by the first machine.
Yeah.
So basically, our engineers are today building two machines, one machine to produce code and the second machine to validate that that code is shippable, that code can go in production. And like if you can build these two machines, then now you can have a closed loop system which is producing and validating that code.
But isn't that the moat we were talking about earlier, right? Like that is the moat then, right? Because anyone can generate code.
Yes.
But how do you trust that code is the bigger problem?
Correct. You are right. And that is what will give you speed in the end. And this is only the speed on the technical product development side. You will need a similar speed on your marketing, on your sales, on your like rest of the functions in your organization. And once you are able to run your entire organization at that AI speed, that finally think of handing over your like every role, every function to AI, and now AI is able to run as fast as it can, provided it has enough compute, enough energy available to itself.
Yeah, so I have just a follow up on that. So these two machines, one is building the code, one is testing the code. So we use AI, Gen AI in the both cases, or at least the testing part you hand write, right? Is that otherwise then who will test the QA code?
Right. So see, even that QA machine is to be produced using AI, but of course you will have to validate each and every block while you are producing it. Like for example, even today, when you have QA automation, right? So QA automation is a code that you write, which will then do QA in a automated manner.
Yeah.
So you are doing something similar, but here instead of QA, it is more of evals. So you are designing your evals and everything using AI, but of course you are going and validating every component of that. So it took a longer time to design this machine, but once
Yeah.
this machine is produced, now it will be able to do that QA at
Yeah.
AI.
Okay, fine, got it.
So Nitin, okay, sorry, Jayesh, go ahead.
Okay. So ये उसी के ऊपर follow up coding वाला because I'm slightly closer to that. So ये मतलब you can call this is what agentic is, right? There is a coding agent, there is a QA agent, right? But in practice, so how well does this scale? तो जैसे अभी AI को आप बोलो कि ये फंक्शन लिख दो, ठीक है, you don't trust it, तो दूसरे prompt में उसको बोल दो कि सारे टेस्ट केस बना दो, right? All unit test cases, all the variations. And then through unit test cases, you can trust कि वो code सही काम कर रहा है, right? But those are simple libraries, but does it scale well? And second thing is, will there be are we reaching at stage where किसी को पता नहीं है वो code exactly like क्या है, right? You trust it because it is tested well, but there is no engineer which really has gone through line by line and can debug and investigate अगर कुछ production में problem आता है. Like are you seeing these kind of fears or surprises, or you are still saying, okay, AI is writing all code, we don't have to know it line by line, or nobody knows it line by line. It's become a like it is becoming more and more of a black box. जैसे हमारे large language models black box है, हमारा पूरा stack भी एक black box बनता जा रहा है. And then through our QA we trusted कि ये नहीं, we have robust evals, QAs, production monitoring कि अगर कुछ होगा तो will be like, or probably कुछ होगा ही.
So how I would look at it, Jayesh, is even today when we work with humans, you are trusting humans to do certain things because you have that trust in that human, because that human has gone through certain training, and that human has already produced so much code, and so he has done so much that you have built that confidence in his or her abilities. Right? And I try to think of such situations in the form of how am I working with other humans, and if I am able to trust a human to do those things, what can I do in order to trust my agents to do something similar?
Oh,
Right.
what the answer?
हाँ, तो basically human can also make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And humans mistake करते हैं. That is why we have QA, and that is why we do a lot of these things. Similarly, LLMs or AI will behave in a similar pattern. And now, like for humans, we built QA systems so that humans जो भी mistake करेंगे, those can be caught by those. Similarly, we have to think of agentic QA in a similar manner, and even agentic QA will end up making mistakes, but
Correct.
then how do you use a combination of determinism and probabilistic nature of machine? So, okay, another way to think about it is, abhi tak jo bhi machines thi na, they were all deterministic machines. Till like 1 year ago or whatever, pretty much everything was deterministic. Now we are opening up a whole new paradigm where machines are no longer deterministic, they are human-like. And we have to learn, and new frameworks need to be evolved where we are able to combine these two nature of machines together, probabilistic and deterministic. So basically, when we write code, we are basically using the probabilistic nature of machines to write something which is deterministic.
Deterministic, correct.
Right, तो कोड में एक बार लिख करके now this converts into a deterministic thing which can be उसका QA कर सकते हैं, उसका validation कर सकते हैं. Now every time it will follow the same steps. So it is like humans के लिए you create checklist, you create processes, right? So for example, in a large company, think of a policy. So policy is something जिसका फिर आप eval कर रहे हो कि भाई ये policy अगर रहेगा तो कोई इसमें loophole तो ढूंढ करके will not exploit the system, right? That is sort of an eval because policy is not completely deterministic, but it has enough guardrails so that people will do the right thing. Right. So similarly,
आई थिंक जयेश का क्वेश्चन था, मान लो ये सब किया फिर भी गलत हो गया, कुछ फट गया, एंड देन यू डोंट नो, नोबडी नोज द कोड. अभी डिबगिंग टाइम बढ़ गया है क्या? इज नाउ बिकॉज लाइक नोबडी नोज द कोड, तो अब कैसे डिबग करें?
तो that is where I'm trying to say कि nobody knows, no human knows, but agents know. Agent ने जिसने लिखा
they can debug also.
हाँ, so see देखो, think like I think the mental model that we need to come up with is we have to start treating agents similar to how we treat other humans in our teams. And that agent, once it has enough context, enough history of doing certain things, then you will be able to build that confidence in that agent. It will still make mistakes, but then how can you make it learn from those mistakes and keep getting better and better?
So ये context or history, so now I mean 4 million or whatever billion tokens जहाँ तक भी पहुँचा, but that still they still have limited memory. So are you able to are you able to like, okay, again this might be very new, तो मुझे पता नहीं होगा, but are agentic memories are thing already कि अरे इसको हम right now everything is shown in the prompt, right? बड़ा करते जाओ prompt को, right?
तो मैं बताता हूँ प्रॉब्लम कहाँ पर है. So this is a active area of research. There are a lot of papers coming out on memory management and things like that. The problem is it already has very good memory. It's just that we have to build better frameworks. Like think of a human memory. Humans, how much memory do we have? Do we remember exactly what I said 1 week ago? I would not remember the exact dialogue, but I would remember the context of what I was thinking and what I meant to say to someone. And that is why you would have an argument with your wife, because your wife would say tumne ye kaha tha, and you would say maine ye kaha tha, right? So we all understand the essence of what we meant to say, but we don't know the exact
Word
words.
by word.
We are trying to make LLMs remember each and every word, right? So we are what needs to be done, or what people are working on, is how do you build memories, short-term memories, long-term memories, with appropriate information level of details, so that you are not trying to remember each and every sentence, but you are trying to extract what I was thinking last week, what I was thinking 20 years ago, right?
Oh, essence.
Essence. So that, like, I remember meeting Rahman 25 years ago, and we went out on a trek on those hills, etc., right? But I don't remember exact conversation I had with him, right? So I think 1 million, 2 million, etc., might be sufficient, provided we build those frameworks where we are not trying to remember each and every dialogue that I said, but I'm just trying to remember the essence. And then I have short-term memory, which is like, which I better recollection of. Long term, I would have relatively poor recollection of. And there would be certain events that are very important for me, like something important happened in my personal life or whatever. Those things I would remember very vividly, but some other things I might not remember. So aaj kya ho raha hai, treating every memory at a same level, and that is why we are running out of memory. And as we build these frameworks ki alag alag level pe deal kar payenge, then we will be able to overcome some of those issues.
I can maybe quickly add something here. Like, if I don't know whether I've used recently Cursor. So Cursor, what it does is it can work with the whole repository. So you can have hundreds of files or whatever, and it basically goes through the repository and it indexes the whole repository. So it has a general sense of what is what, which file contains what, and a general understanding. And then when you write new codes, it looks into that index, and then it gives very good results. I have been recently working with it, and Praveen Parate has worked more extensively. Maybe he wants to add something here, but yeah, just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, just on the memory thing, I think like Jayash said, right, it is going to improve. And like Nitin said as well, the long term versus short term. I think the question was, how do you debug in production systems? You don't need to debug. You have your test cases, like what Charlie said, right? The speed of execution or the cost of execution has become so less. Like when I have to debug, I don't debug. I've talked about this with Rahman in a different video, but I've got extensive files in terms of test cases. This is what we're trying to solve. This is what we're trying to do. These are test cases. I just scrap the code and I make it regenerate the whole thing. I said, ye class hai, ye function hai. Just redo the whole thing, because I can't be bothered to figure out ki kya ho raha hai. So that's what you do. You just ask it to do it again, and it'll do it again.
Wait. If let's see, the code was fine. It passed like 100 unit tests, and we didn't think of the 101st case which happened in production, and so we want to ideally add one more test case. So if we say redo the code, it may fail one of those 100 things.
No. So what you would do is you would say ki ye sir, you just add that 101st test case to your original.
Now it redo. Okay, got it.
And then you say, based on this, make sure that this piece of code passes all files. Now,
all files.
Sometimes it does get into loop. Today, in practical terms, it does get into loop ki ek test fail hua, dusra test pass hua, and it does that. After I do it like 2 or 3 times, what I do is just scrap the whole code. Based on this, regenerate the whole thing.
Okay.
So 2-3 बार अगर fail हुआ, I
scrap करो.
Control Alt delete.
I mean, like I've been doing some POCs and developing like say few hobby projects, and this works at that level, right? And then I feel comfortable. Yeah, I mean, मुझे समझ में आना बंद हो गया what is happening, redo thing and then create it. But I mean, I don't feel confident in telling my dev that some metric is going down or something that was expected is not happening. Go and redo it, right? Because that is, is very hard to do. And practically, like, how are people able to solve it? I would like to just understand that, right? And sometimes, like in the kind of business I am, sometimes all test cases are passing, everything is fine, and we'll see that in production some metric is going down. Like in this context, I work in a fintech, and we look at a lot of conversion metrics, like which is very behavioral in terms of how users react on different screens, and based on the metrics start to going down. And then something will go down which will not anticipate it, then we'll start to roll back, because what usually happens is that changes done in one part of the system start to impact some other part of system which no one thought of, like some indirect impact. And then we'll start to roll back and go one step at a time and see, like, now we are in a decent state or good enough state that we know, and then then make incremental changes to see what might have happened. In that kind of system, again, in let's say controlled projects, or where I am aware of what is happening in the system, I understand all part of system, and feeling comfortable to asking to redo code or redo certain part of the code. But if there is this production deployed system and there are already 100 customers or thousands of customers who are using that code, it's really, I mean, hard to like.
Yeah, so I'm coming from where Pratik is coming as well, right? And so my corporate is quite large, and in terms of AI adoption, I mean, I would personally say we are quite behind, right? I mean, what we do max is the coders use AI to help them generate some basic code, and then they'll write on top of it, right? So it's just sort of assisted AI. Now, the reality is, as Pratik said, we have existing systems which are running based on code which has been written over a number of years by people, humans. They may be, say, 20, 30, 40 different systems, various technologies. They are integrated one way or the other. They are talking to each other. Now tomorrow I want to introduce a small functionality or a product, and this would be for various multiple customers, right? Not one customer, so multiple businesses. Now if I introduce a functionality first, I would like to understand, like, in the current SDLC process where we stand, we do the standard thing, right? And all humans doing it, assuming we understand what's the product requirement, and then we do the design, build, test, deliver. In this whole piece, how much can be automated by AI? Can AI, I mean, IBM came to us with a workshop where they said our AI will look at the code and understand exactly what's going on, and then we need this when we typically migrate from one system to another, and then it automates more or less the migration. So does that actually work 100%? So if there are like millions of lines of code today, people who code it, they actually understand the business logic behind it, and they understand how it's all put together. If AI just reads the code with minimal context, will it actually understand what's happening? So if I give it a code, will it understand I'm trying to board a customer, for example, for a credit card or a merchant business or for a loan or whatever? Or how exactly would that piece work? And because I need to have that confidence to give the control to AI, right? In this case, we are pretty much giving the control to AI. I'm assuming we just tell it what to do and then it'll do it. And then, we can get into details later, right? Figure out how testing can be automated and all of that. But I think first thing is, building something from scratch is probably easier. But if there's something big which is already running and then you introduce this AI solution in it, how much can we trust it?
So I can share something here based on our experience. So I don't code myself, but no, my technical team has been telling me that doing greenfield projects versus brownfield projects till 3 months ago, they would have just said that brownfield projects are extremely hard or not possible to do reliably with AI, and they would have just not kind of been like pushed to just do greenfield stuff with AI and not the brownfield thing. But now with Claude Code in particular, Claude Code, I don't know how many of you are using.
Can you
That
quickly
has
explain what is greenfield and brownfield, please?
So greenfield, like a completely blank, fresh project versus something that already exists. Millions of lines already exist, and now you are trying to modify it or add another feature to it. That is brownfield. Till 3 months ago, that was the consensus that touching anything that already exists is going to mess things up, and AI will not be able to understand the context or do it well. But particularly since Claude Code came about, I think couple of months ago or so, and now sub agents in Claude Code 2 weeks ago. Since then, no, my team has been telling me that we are very confident now. And they are already able to do like a lot of stuff with the existing code bases that are quite large.
Wow.
And this is irrespective of the technology. So it can be mainframe, COBOL, Java, Perl, whatever, right?
I
Old tech, new tech, whatever.
I don't know. Praveen might have.
Yeah, so let me just answer that. There's a couple of things. So one is the most popular languages, the Claude Code, Gemini Code, I use a few of those. They do much better than something like COBOL if there isn't a lot of open source projects out there, because effectively everything is learning off the back of these open source projects. So it won't do, I don't think it'll do that good of a job. While so that's one point. The other thing is, when you've got millions of lines of code, what we have doing, what I'm doing actively on my current businesses projects, is we're trying to kind of create these different, conceptual modules, which will be easier for the AI to understand. So when you're trying to tackle a brownfield project, one of the things that we have done is, because it was bad, and like Nitin said, until 3 months ago, it was really bad. So my thing from, again, with Rahman and what we've been working for a year, how do we change the code so that it is easier for the AI to understand? That's been the primary thing for me. So even now, I ask AI to do different things, and I want to be doing them parallelly, but I do not want different AIs, which I'm running in parallel, to write on each other's code. Because then it becomes a conflict mess, and it becomes very hard to merge things. So then conceptually, we've divided that into different parts of the code. So there's the front end, there's obviously the front end, the back end, the AI bit.
Yeah, so basically create different domains, right? I mean, this is basically
create different domains, so it's easy for the AI to.
You're getting humans to do it. You're getting agents to do
And
it.
then that's the same way in which people also think about it. Like, one human, I won't understand all the code. And if I understand code today of one particular thing, when I move on to working on something else, I'll forget what I've done here. So what we want to do, particularly when there are context windows which are limited today, is try to logically divide the code. And I think that's where a lot of software engineering is going to go. It's not about how do I solve this particular problem, but how do I architect the system such that things are decoupled. And when I'm giving instructions, I can give instructions saying, take this module, make these changes. So we don't do 101 tests thing. Like, even I say right now, because I've got 3 screens and one of the screens is already spinning. So these things that I'm testing are not 100. I'm testing maybe 20 test cases on one thing. Once that is done, that is its own module. Then there's another set of instructions I'll give to make it do something else. And when I do give it instructions, I'm very, very specific, because I understand what's happening. In the future, hopefully, I won't have to be this specific. I'll just say, make this change. Today, I say, take this class, do these things, take this function, do that, take this there. And I give the locations of these things in Cursor or Cursor-like tools or Windsurf. You are able to give the location of these files very easily, and it's able to then figure that out and do the thing. I still look at the output. I'm not that, while it is getting much better, I don't need to make any changes. I still look at the output just so that I feel more comfortable, I guess. But maybe in a few months' time, once AI is able to consistently show that it doesn't need any changes, I'll get more hands off and not look at the output.
So one question, a follow-up question to you, Praveen. I remember you mentioning that you wanted to do something like this, that you want to write a file. It's kind of like a README file where you give the instruction to, or some very crucial information, and you will ask Cursor or Windsurf to follow it so that you have a general understanding of where to go, where not to go, certain rules and certain instructions, like a very top-down instructions. Did you try something like that, and how successful were you?
So I've created a Claude file particularly for Claude Code, where I explain our whole architecture and all of that. It is, I think, 6-7 pages long, maybe a few hundred lines long, and I explain a bunch of things. The challenge is keeping it updated over time. So, but yeah, that does a much better job. So now when I'm giving it instructions, Claude Code understands much better than it was able to. For Cursor or Windsurf, any of these IDs, I tag the files or I tag the functions. You can do that with something. People who are familiar with that will already know how to do it. So I select different parts of the file and I say, make these changes. And I'm not writing short instructions. I write a few hundred lines, a few paragraphs every time. And then I don't have to worry about what the output is. And because I'm thinking, most of my time is spent in thinking, how do I instruct the AI to do something? So that when I come back to it in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, the output is going to be reasonable.
So it has worked for you.
Yeah.
I think
So I have a very basic question for you guys. Like, so for example, like I use very like not as involved as you guys are, but like for example, for someone who's like, you can assume I'm just starting in, so what kind of like minimum hardware and the tools which anyone would need to make some kind of like impact in their, like whatever like code I'm writing? Like for example, I came to know about cursor, like I didn't know about cursor. Like what are like the like some of the tools or like some of the things which are must have or must are should be used by a new person into this area?
Good question. So again, I don't code myself, but my team is right now extensively on Claude Code. We used to use Cursor, then we moved to Windsurf, and now we have come to Claude Code. That like we are spending a lot of money on Claude Code every month right now. And Claude Code, by the way, is not just for coding. It is a agentic framework which you can use for various things. And right now, even I am a user of Claude Code. I don't use it for coding. I use it for all my documentation, my emails, and everything. And I have kind of build sub agents and so on, so that if I have to do research on any prospect or I have to write email, so it knows my writing style, it is connected to MCP, so it can fetch my emails, it can respond in a very thoughtful manner. And I have directories where I have context of every customer, every my product, everything. And using Claude Code, you can instruct Claude Code what to look at and then what to do. So it will go to the right folder, understand those like historic conversation with a customer, and based on that it will be able to craft an email and send it out using MCP. So a lot of such even business work can be automated and done in a very efficient manner using tools like these.
Nice.
That is pretty cool. I'd love to know more about that because my head has always been in writing code and not about how I use it for other business
So
functions.
our business team, they are able to now write very complex 50-page proposals in matter of like less than an hour, which used to take more than a week, and several people working on those proposals. Because you have to have a very good understanding of customer problem, your product, and then you will like draft that proposal in a way that immediately resonates with the customer. So now all that is pretty automated because you have all transcripts from customer calls, and you have agents which will extract all the right information, put it in markdown files, and then you already have all your product knowledge in appropriate markdown files, and it will combine all of that to create a proposal pretty much in an automated manner, and you'll have a very high quality proposal.
And a question, I wanted to ask something that as you told that it can go inside the file and search the file. That like it can go inside a directory of the documents and search the right document and generate a right answer also at the same time.
So Gaurav, your voice is breaking a little, but what I understood is you're asking if it can go and find the right files and insert or make changes to the right files or something like that.
I meant to ask that it can go inside the files, folders, search the folders, go inside the files, read the document, and then whatever answer is required from the document, it can also take that answer and frame a mail and send it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that can that
yeah. I mean, these kind of things can be done using basic LLMs as well. You can have a RAG configured where you can put all the previous transcripts of your calls or summaries of your calls in a RAG, and based on that, you can try and get an answer. But that will be more complex because you will have to create different project files in your ChatGPT or Claude projects and things like that. But now with Claude Code, it can be done in a very agentic manner, because now it will be able to, like if you have proper folders for every customers, right? And once you say that, okay, I want to respond to Shell, and no, check my email, last email from Shell, and no, go to Shell's folder, find, understand the context, understand what my product does, and based on that compose a response. So especially something like Claude Code, which is agentic, will be able to identify where is the folder with all the data for that customer, go inside that folder, find the right files, understand that, and then generate a response following your email writing guide. So you can also have a file where you have your email writing style. So, and how you generate that file is, again, just feed it last 5-10 emails and tell it, understand my writing style and create a markdown file with my writing style. So you don't have to do it manually. You can just feed your last 8-10 emails and it will generate an email, or sorry, MD file, markdown file, which contains your writing style.
So in near future, the whole laptop will live inside Cloud Code and we can do anything, right?
Yeah,
That,
and these things are moving so fast that, see, Claude Code, these things, this sub agents and all these things came about just 2 weeks ago, and we are using it already. and we don't know whether there'll be something far superior that comes out next week, right? And by that time for experimentation and quickly keeping yourself in sync with what is going on becomes so important.
One thing I want to ask, how can you, is there any guarding thing which will protect all your emails,
Yeah,
confidential information?
yeah, exactly. I was
I
going to
have
ask
some
the
code
same
which I
thing.
don't want to share with anything. Like it's something which I've developed. So, can I ask Cloud Code ki go to Nitin emails and tell me what he's doing there? Will it do that?
So देखो, officially, of course, everything is like if you look there at their data policy, this and that, they all declare that your data is private, and all these tools they have settings where you can say that don't share my data with as a training data, so keep it private. So if you're using paid version of any of these tools, you can keep your data private. Officially,
Okay.
we don't know unofficially what they are doing with our data. Like
Yeah.
for example, all your data is on Salesforce, all your data is on Gmail servers, right? So although they claim they are not using it, but reality, what they are doing in reality, nobody knows. So it's the same.
So
Also,
this
there's
is,
human error. Somebody in some organization where we are pushing data to might accidentally leak that data, not intentionally.
It's the same amount of risk that is there with any other cloud product, right? Salesforce, we all use Salesforce or HubSpot or whatever, right? So all our customer data, emails, everything is with HubSpot anyway. So it's the same amount of risk with Cloud Code or any other tool.
uh, so so this is like, for example, a company like mine, we're a high frequency trading firm. It's all in the code, right? No, if any competitor has our code, anybody has our code, they'll run, and then we'll be out of business next day. Um, the the code is the same, and if somebody runs it 1 microsecond faster, we are gone. So now I'm always worried, like if I get to these agentic systems and all, they have access to all my code, and how do I trust that?
But Siddharth, that way, like if you're hosting your code on AWS or GCP, or you're using GitHub for managing your
Not, yeah, I'm using Bitbucket paid version. GitHub I was not confident about because it's more open. Bitbucket is a paid and private. Similarly, AWS, yeah, a lot of experience. It's never done this, never heard it from anyone. These are all new companies. So who knows? I mean, how do you trust, for example, Cloud Code? Who is Cloud Code? I mean, never heard of it.
basically you have to choose, right now, at least internally what we have decided is that any company who is trustworthy in the sense they are big enough, they have lot at stake if they do anything no such hanky panky, no, hopefully companies based out of Silicon Valley or who have all these marquee investors on their
Okay.
list, etc., we have no option but to trust them and
Yeah.
focus on moving
Hey,
at
you're
high.
not trusting.
Hey,
You're
Siddharth.
trusting the code. You're not trusting companies, na? Nowadays, it's not the companies. It's the AI systems.
No, don't see.
Hey, Sid.
See, AI systems provide you that option at least officially to not let that data be used for training. So you can turn on those switches and say that don't
Okay.
use my data for training. After that, what they are doing is same level of
That's
risk in my mind as it is there for AWS or any other such provider. So,
Also, like
All right,
for
guys.
example, like right, like for
Let's yes.
trading in
Let's take that
particular.
as the last question, and then we'll move on with Charlie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Anshul wanted to ask something.
So more of asking on like the comment itself, like for example, on the high frequency trading side, you want your code to be fast and your competitors should not know. I can give my code to the AI and tell it like optimize it, make it as fast as possible,
Yeah.
right? So by you can give your code also, which is maybe the fastest, and it's like make it even faster, and you become 1 microsecond faster, and you make a lot of money. So
Yeah.
the risk reward has to be balanced, right? And the same risk exists if your main developer leaves to your competitor. He'll go and tell the competitor after he serves your non-compete for 1 year or 2 years, right?
Yeah, I
So
mean
in
that
that kind
that that thing, like people leaving, this is like a known problem, and we all know how to deal with it. Pay them well, have these non-competes and all of that, and it kind of has worked. Now with this AI, it's like more of a mental block. I don't know anything. Like it can secretly leak my code to my competitor. How do I know that?
See, if you another way to think about it, like what Anshul said, is if you're not using the systems, will your competitor anyway outpace you?
Acha. So I will. Okay.
that was my
Okay.
point. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So if I use it to make my code faster, It will help me. If I don't, then he will make his code faster and beat us anyway.
Without knowing your code at all, right? Because he has all the code in the world to make it faster. Because he might have missed one optimization, which
Yeah.
this AI system would identify and would make it better than you, and then you would be again you would have to resort to the AI tool anyways to figure out or optimize your code.
Okay.
Because you are already operating at the optimal of what you think can be done with
Yes.
the same manpower. Or see, the thing is, like for me, how I think myself is I have a certain knowledge base, and the same input would always give the same output from my system as a human being till I go and learn something new.
So
The
basically,
same with the developers. They cannot come up with a new idea, or I can make this better without studying something or learning something new.
so you're probably at a higher risk by not using AI than by using AI.
Got it. Got it. That's the better way to put it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So
what
it's
my
again
point. Yeah.
between speed and privacy.
Just one thing to comment there, Obi. I
Go
think
ahead.
the risk of OpenAI or Anthropic or they kind of stealing your data is much lesser than some malware acting as an MCP, sitting inside your cloud code and doing some random stuff. So I think people need to be more bothered about these kind of things rather than being bothered about will Anthropic use my data or will OpenAI kind of steal my data. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. New kind of viruses now.
Yeah,
People.
because we are just thinking from development perspective. I'm sure all the malware guys, all the security guys, they're
They're
all
also
thinking
on this Zoom
in a
call
way
right
to do
now,
it.
figuring
Yeah,
out how to
yeah,
fool these guys, idiots.
yeah.
More than that, how are these guys making money? So let's replicate and figure out those businesses.
Yeah.
Hey,
All
with
right.
Nitin,
Yes.
one thing I was hoping that you are able to cover today is that I think you talked about different functions and reimagining how will they could work in this new world. About, let's say we talk about product managers, designers, or business people, or lawyers, or developers. In your experience, if you can tell us like practical things that have worked in your experience, because we are all trying multiple things, but if you can share your experience of what things have worked and you have been like really able to accelerate few things, I think that will be
Right, Pratik. So that's a very good kind of segue, and that is something close to my heart as well, and something where I think we have done a lot of work, and happy to share what our learnings have been and what we have done. So it's very difficult to bring that change, and especially no, if you have been around for more than a year, people you have hired were already skilled in something, and now making them rewire themselves and reimagine their roles is extremely challenging. So we were about 100 people strong 1 year ago. Now we are about 48, and we are operating at almost 3 to 4 times higher velocity than what we used to be at, and I think we will be again 3 4x more of what we are doing today in another 3 months. And what has worked for us is multiple things. So it's again very difficult for making people rewire themselves. So one is we went very aggressively about it, and we said that we have to become AI native. There is no other way. And unless we are engaging with AI and doing everything with AI, we will cease to exist very soon. And this is not just for developers, this is for every function at our company, even including like recruitment or operations or whatever we do. And we did a bunch of things like this Friday thing I mentioned about, like Fridays are just for experimentation, and we do showcase of what people are doing in different teams. Then we started doing a lot of sessions, internal sessions. Initially started with internal sessions, but then we also started doing public sessions where we invite other people from different teams to come over. So we have a event area where we host these events around how we are doing things with AI for our business teams, for our product teams, etc., development team and everything. So that also builds a lot of conviction and confidence in the team as to whatever we are doing is on the right track, and we are able to share it with others, and others are appreciating what we are doing. So that conviction is very important. And few other things that really helped. One, I was personally very convinced about becoming AI native, and like as a geek technology person, I decided to do whatever I do using AI, and that helped set the tone like whatever I do, like whether it is emails or like planning for my team or planning new initiatives or doing investor relations, everything I have been aggressively pushing for doing things with AI. And I have become more full stack than what I used to be 1 year ago. So today, a lot of things for which I would have otherwise gone to my marketing team or to my sales team or somebody else, I am doing those things myself. And that way I am able to do things much faster, much more efficiently with much better outcomes, because I am able to control my agents and get those things done. So that really helps setting that tone, as you know, from the leadership point of view, that we have to become full stack and we have to be able to go from start to end pretty much with single person teams or with as few people as we can, because handovers is what will kill us. So we want minimum handovers, going from start to end. Another thing that helped is identifying people who are excited, motivated about rewiring themselves. So you will always come across people in your team who will be super excited about something like this, and others who are reluctant or who are finding excuses, data privacy or something else, or like quality will not be good. How do I trust it? So they will come up with all kinds of naysayer kind of mindset. And that is natural. Like every person has a different bent of mind, but you need to identify those early adopter kind of persona who are willing to take that risk, who are excited about experimentation, trying out new things. Create a separate team of those people, give them something challenging and let them run. Do not put them with other naysayers, because that will bring down their energy. So what helped us is we created a separate team of 4 or 5 people who looked that they were excited, and we gave them a challenging assignment that gave them an opportunity to experiment, try out different things and make it work. And their success became something for others to get inspired from. So whatever they were able to accomplish, we were able to make that as an internal case study, that see, these guys were able to do something amazing in order of a week or 2 weeks, what would have otherwise taken us several months. So that shows that it is possible. That now no longer can we say that is it possible or not possible. It is possible. Some people have already done it. Now let's figure out what they did and how they did it, and let's make it work. So that gave us a lot of ammunition in terms of pushing the rest of the team that, see, this is possible. Let's just do it. So those were some of the things that we did. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Any other?
I have a follow up on that. So when you said one of the things you said was, that some of these functions, let's say the product management function, the engineering function, all of that is going to change. When you are thinking about hiring more people, what kind of people do you think you're going to hire? Because you got a much bigger, and this is something that I'm thinking of right now. I don't know if I want to hire engineers or product managers or any of this. I do not know what I want to hire. But I want to hire somebody who's able to, yeah, I'd be keen to understand your thoughts. Like when you think of
Yes.
hiring, what are you going to hire, particularly in this
See,
AI native space?
exactly. So see, the skills that we used to no count on earlier. Earlier, we used to count on skills or experience. A lot of those things are shrinking in value. And what is becoming much more important is how open is a person to experiment. How open is a person, like how curious is a person, how so that mindset of being exploratory, trying out new things, being curious is becoming far more important. And the pace of innovation is accelerating, right? So if every week something new is coming out, and unless people come in with that open mind of trying out something and having fun at doing it, they will not be able to stay relevant.
Interesting.
Like even coming to say product designers or product managers, those boundaries that we used to have earlier are getting blurred. So our product managers are now creating PRDs. So earlier, they used to create this product requirement documents, etc., which were like 5, 10 pages long. Now they are creating documents that are like 100 pages long, because they describe each and every aspect of that, because they have brainstormed with an LLM and they are using the LLM to create a very detailed PRD. And that PRD is so detailed that they are able to just use that to create the initial prototypes or mockups. So those are now created by the product managers themselves, initial mockups, and they are able to take it to customers and validate before anything is given to the next person in the team. Right. So basically they have become much broader in their scope in terms of what they produce, and it has of course become much more faster and efficient, and the level of details they have in the PRD can now be used by the tech team to do their architecture, can be used by the guys working on testing to write their test cases, and all this is again no one agent after the other. So the next agent is able to again use the PRD because it is so detailed to do whatever job that team is supposed to do.
So, Charlie, one follow-up question with that. I think it's a very wonderful time that we don't value as much, hard skills and a number of years of work in certain field. But as human beings, one of the assets that we have and the unique capability is curiosity, the ability to learn, to be passionate about something. So this is highly valued. This is wonderful. But these are something that you cannot read in a resume, or probably not in a standard way of interviewing. So how do you go and find out, unless don't let's assume that you don't know that person.
Yes,
If you
yes.
know, of course, you know certain characteristics. If you don't know, how do you go about and check that?
So, like I personally, what I prefer to discuss in an interview is looking at the history of being curious, looking at the history of being passionate about things and pursuing those areas of interest, showing some grit, where they have gone after something and pursued that for a long period of time because they were super keen to learn, understand, or do something about it. So, showing grit, showing learnability, showing curiosity from their historic work, not just promises of the future, but like during their college time, during their previous jobs, where is it that they showed these traits? So that is what I try to look at. And for our evaluation, the assignments that we now have are all assignments where we ask the candidates to use AI for their assignment. So every assignment that we have, whether it is for recruiters or it is for product managers or designers or developers, everything expects the candidate to use AI in order to solve those assignments, because those assignments are a lot harder what they used to be. And now with AI, they can be attempted in matter of hours or a day.
That sounds great.
Nitin,
Pratik, sorry, I stopped you. Go ahead.
yeah, no problem. Okay, so I think one thing that I've been encouraging my team is for when they're writing PRD is write what all to test and what all could go wrong in very detail, right? So that like a developer is much more conscious. But you mentioned like agents doing it, right? So right now what is happening is that everyone is using their tool of choice. Let's say I'm also using Figma Make and I'm using ChatGPT and I'm using Perplexity as well as Gemini, based on I have some feeling of this tool does this part well.
Yeah.
Have you been able to kind of formalize that, let's say, PRD writing agent? So there is no PRD writing agent in my case. It's just like doing a lot of conversation with these tools and then being able to come up with a better document. So that I see happening, but have been able to formalize like there is a PRD writing agent which is much better in your context, it understands your company context. And then there is a QA test writing agent. So have you been able to implement some of that?
No, we have not, because things are just moving so fast, and every product manager is experimenting or trying out different things, and each person has figured out their way of doing it, and they of course share whatever learnings they have with each other, but we have not processized it, or we have not tried to put a lot of structure around it.
Yeah, sure. So that's the same as my experience, right? Like everyone has like a way of working, and they have figured out like what is working for them, and it's like, and
Yes.
different people use it at different scale. Some people use it a lot. Some people just do basic stuff.
And I think that is fine because the pace of again change is so fast. Because again, this PRD etc. Earlier people were doing it with basic LLMs. Now they are migrating to using Claude Code kind of stuff, which is more agentic and creating sub agents for different sections of PRD. So the quality of PRDs has improved significantly once they move to these kind of frameworks. And we again expect that all this will become obsolete in a few weeks. So the pace of change is so high that putting a lot of guardrails or processes might slow your team down. That is my opinion, that it's better to just keep it open and let people keep sharing whatever they are discovering, learning with each other, so that we are able to quickly migrate to the best practice or whatever is working best.
That makes sense.
All right. So I think Ramakant was next.
So
Ramakant, you are on.
trying to find the unmute button. So, so I had two questions. One is, if we can take a use case of a product development and you tell us the PRD, right? So you call it product definition document or whatever. So that you use AI to create. Like, can you just give us a full walkthrough of starting to end, like what people would do, like what part they would define and what part they would use AI for, and if there are some recommended tools for that, then that would be good as well. I mean, we can
So,
probably share the tool details later. But
so I'll give you a high level kind of overview of how we do it, and like Pratik is doing it, and I'm sure others are as well, and they can chip in as to how they are doing it. How we do it basically is one is giving the context is the key. So whatever LLMs you are using, or even agentic systems that you are using, make sure that it has the full context of your current product. Then it has context of what the customer requirements are.
So, sorry, yeah. So just to come to that, so context of current product means you have already given it all product documentation,
Yes.
right? But a lot of times the documentation doesn't cover everything, right? So have you also given it the code and it looks at the existing code to confirm that after reading the document plus code, it understands basically how the product behaves today, or
So in our case, because we started using these systems way back,
beginning? Yeah, yeah.
and our customer success team has also been using all the AI stuff. So the documentation now, as of now, is quite detailed, and we have a lot of learning resources for our customers online as well, etc., etc. So product documentation coverage is pretty good by now. Uh,
Okay.
no, we don't give it. I mean, giving it code will be too much for a PRD sort of a system to work on. So you need a
Yeah, no,
detailed.
I was thinking for the learning part. So, I mean, you would have got the training done. So, I was thinking that maybe as part of the training, you would have given the code so it reads the code and understands what your company does, how your existing code is functioning, right? And
Right.
for the PRD, probably whatever is relevant, you give the product documentation of that, and then the prompt that the person gives in terms of the background and everything else. Is there any like, have you structured it in a particular way, or whoever's giving it just gives whatever he knows and whatever it feels like?
So at least in our case, now we have been trying to find the right people in terms of people who are high agency, who are able to operate with a lot of context, and we tend to not put a lot of process in place. Instead, no, let people decide what works best for them. So in our case, we don't have a lot of process. These people are like really smart people, high agency people who have good understanding of what we want to accomplish, and then they are working like based on whatever they think is the best.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
very unstructured that way. uh,
Okay.
uh, and how they work with it is like they have the product context, they have the customer requirements context, and then they brainstorm with the LLM for several hours. So several hours you are just brainstorming, you're thinking of all the corner cases, you're thinking of how the usage pattern will be, what will be the best way for the customer to interact with this product. So you're thinking of all the different aspects. They have already now created certain kind of a framework around it, which is fed to those systems, so that they know that in a PRD, what are the different aspects that we need to think about.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Now,
That's
so
fine. And then if we move to the next step, so what after the PRD, let's say that is done, AI
yes,
creates $100 page document.
yes.
Then I'm assuming design is created completely by the AI.
Yes, so even design wise, there is a lot of interesting things that we have done where actually our usage of Figma is like very minimal now. Earlier, like Figma used to be the go-to thing for all our product designers. Now our product designers again spend a lot of time with AI, brainstorming with Claude or something like that in order to understand all the corner cases and generate some kind of artifacts in Claude itself, and they are able to create fairly complex artifacts in Claude itself. Once they do that, they are able to take all that to a product like Lovable or Bolt or one of those no code tools, and they generate the entire front end using these tools. So the output from a product designer is no longer a Figma screen, it is actually the front end code. So you pretty much get the entire front end code from here. Now for certain things, if they need to use Figma, what they do is they import this entire front end code into Figma, And then the major problem that we face is with something like Lovable or Bolt, you are not able to enforce your design system. So design system is off, despite all your efforts, because it will use its own fonts, its own colors. It will not be able to follow the exact design.
Okay, so this is from a UI perspective,
From
yeah?
UI perspective, and we have created a small plugin, which what it does is once you import this entire front end into Figma using this plugin, it is able to translate that entire design into your design system.
Yeah, but what if it's not front end related, but actual, the concept processing, like, and then you have certain standards. Sometimes, you can hard code something as something, or you can introduce a parameter in the system so that it's more flexible. So there are a lot of design principles, right? So how do you enforce those? Because this is the main value add of the designers, typically.
All that is done by the designers because they are actively thinking, but AI is providing a lot of heavy lifting. So they are
Okay.
able to think of no, or at least nudged AI to think of all the corner cases, what else can be done to make it better, etc., etc. Finally, what we have been able to get is very complicated interfaces with lot of details using AI, which otherwise human designers would have taken much longer, or they might have missed several things. So the
Okay.
quality as well as the speed of execution has significantly changed when we are using AI for design.
And then the coding, is it based on the design, it just gets coded, or someone needs to have some sort of understanding to review and
So
update?
far, we have been able to automate a lot of front-end development using these tools. So front-end is automated to a very high level, but back-end is now generated using Claude Code. So we use Claude Code then for the back-end
Okay.
for all the
Okay.
plumbing.
Okay, and I think for testing you have already automated testing, right? Now the challenge is, the existing functionality testing that is, fine. I think it's part of regression or anything. Anyone's already doing it. There's a lot of it is automated. But now, as we were discussed earlier, right? This is a new functionality which has got introduced, and to figure out how to test it, that part, the code for that has to be added to the testing tools.
Yes.
So I guess that is a hit and trial, right? So
That is again agentic, because now using your PRD itself, you will be able to put your QA agents on task where they will generate all the new test cases based on that
but the
PRD.
same AI is generating your code also. So, the AI is generating the code and AI is generating the tool that validates the code. So
But
if there's a mistake, it will be there in both.
no, it will not be. It will not be, because see, the intent or the way AI will be thinking or executing when it is developing those test cases will
Okay,
be
understood.
completely
Okay. So
different
the
from.
context is different.
So it is
Okay.
like the same human when he is working on development of test cases, the way he will, the intent that human will have while building the test cases will be different. When he's writing the code, it will be different.
Okay.
Right. And see, AI, I mean, you can always switch models. You can use Gemini, you can use Claude, you can use OpenAI.
Mm.
You can switch models if you really want to. But even with the same model, you will be able to get a very good level of outcomes.
Okay, and if I don't know, I mean, now just coming out of the product development piece, right? But the other stuff that you've said that you're using now agentic AI for almost everything. So if I want to start doing that as a small project myself on my laptop, and I've never done this before, how do I get started, and like how to go about?
Personally, I am a big fan of Claude Code right now because I am using it for all kinds of stuff, not just coding. And even
Mm.
for coding, my developers tell me the kind of results that they are getting with Claude Code, they are far superior than what they used to get with Cursor or Windsurf. And it's very easy to use. Basically, there is initial friction. But I mean, you guys are all computer science guys anyway, and you have done a lot of coding. So it will be very easy for you guys anyway. Like even I am not a programmer. I have never really coded anything big in my life, but I am able to use Claude Code
Okay,
quite
and
easily.
that's it. Do I need any other tools, or Cloud Code is enough?
Claude Code is enough, but then Claude Code gradually you will learn how to create sub agents, how to create
Yeah.
commands, and then connect with MCP. So you will be able to do a lot of heavy lifting.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Hey,
one,
Nitin, just one question on Cloud Code. So I'm looking at Cloud Code. It has like the three options: Pro, Max 5x, and Max 20x. I'm sure 20x is way beyond, but have you does anyone has any clue on where someone should start?
If you're just getting started, right, even Cursor is good enough, right? If you just want to want to use AI for coding and then want to just start, Cursor or even GitHub Copilot, they are good enough if you just want to get started and let's say want to create a hobby project and get your hands dirty. I think these are good enough tools.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I have one question.
I
Or
have,
maybe
I have a
Somesh,
Please,
Somesh,
question.
Somesh, Somesh
wait
has
one second. Yes,
a question for a long time.
Somesh has been waiting for a long time. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I think
You guys can raise your
so I
hands.
would
I think
check.
it comes automatically in the list. So
Yeah.
whoever has questions, please raise your hands.
Yeah, it's slightly different. And I had to do that, but Nitin, you mentioned you were. I mean, before you mentioned year ago when ChatGPT kind of exploded, all more than a year ago. But a year ago, the whole thing became, it's human in loop. Is it ethical? What would happen to humans and all those things? Eventually, there were a lot of concerns. Now that we see those discussions have kind of almost died down. No one really cares what's happening. That's how corporate world works. The profit and dollar trumps everyone. Nitin, you also mentioned that you were 100 people strong. Now you are 48, but your output is 4-5x. Pretty soon, I'm guessing 48 can become 24 to 1. Eventually, one person organization. And as and when the adoption of agentic AI increase, there's no stopping, right? I mean, one person can do pretty much everything with all the agents. Now we have this whole population that relies on a lot of these things that we do today that AI is substituting. Almost all knowledge-based jobs are pretty much going to go away. Um, where is this taking us in terms of, hey, what is the future? Not only for us, but for the next generation. I mean, and this is not a philosophical question. I just wanted to understand from a point of view of what you're really seeing in the industry.
Yeah.
You did mention curiosity. It's hard to develop curiosity when you're actually not doing anything.
Yeah, so good question, Somesh. So this is again something that we have been deeply thinking about, and like a lot of strong opinions and views on that. So see how, so think about how all the physical labor work was taken away from humans. Initially, animals were used for a lot of physical labor, and then it went to machines, right? And similarly, now a lot of brain power or thinking or cognitive skills, they will get offloaded to machines, right? And once it happened, like it happened in case of physical abilities, it went to machines. We still go to gym, or we still play badminton, or we still do whatever things we want to do, either for joy or for keeping ourselves fit. Similarly, today there is a lot of dependency on humans for all the brain work. However, now that we will have a new species for the first time that is smarter than humans, or like somewhere close to humans or better than humans, so that dependency will go away. We will no longer need to apply brains for our survival or for getting basic things done. Machines will be able to do it for us. But like we have gyms for physical work, we can have like mental gyms for keeping our minds active just for fun, or for just health or mental health, right? And then we will probably, my understanding is that we will discover other dimensions of where humans can create value or do things that machines cannot do. It could be spirituality, it could be, I don't know, something else, consciousness or what. But beyond physical work, beyond mental work, is there something more to being a human? And so far, because livelihood was so dependent on getting that right to resources, because resources were limited and money was the tiebreaker between resources. Now, because resources are limited, whoever has money can claim those resources, and whoever does not have money, that money becomes a tiebreaker for resources. Once we enter into this age of abundance, where we have machines doing all the brain work and all the physical work, all the material resources should no longer be constraint. And once, so basically I'm talking about era, once we have gone through all this chaos, the next 10-15 years will be very chaotic, because a lot of existing systems will need to get disrupted. But once we are beyond that, once we have reached a new equilibrium, or a new real level of like realization, or new stable equilibrium of the world, it will probably look like where humans no longer are valued for their brain capacity. Like for example, today we are not really valued for our muscle power. Like few hundred years ago, gladiator or like people who were very powerful physically, they were valued more than others who were not very physically strong, right? So there was a lot of value associated to somebody being physically strong. Now today, all that has reduced to mental power. Whoever is smart, whoever can do smart is valued more than others. But another, I don't know whether it will take 1 decade, 2 decades, several more decades, but there will be a time where mental power will no longer be your identity, because machines will anyway be smarter and anybody can employ that machine to do those things. And physical resources will no longer be constrained, because these machines will be able to go right way from mining those resources to building machines, building food, creating food, farming, like whatever you can think of, everything will get agentic, everything will be run by machines, physical AI, etc. And once you have enough abundance of these resources, then you don't need a tiebreaker. You don't need, the concept of money will not make any sense, because it's like you are going to a 5-star buffet. No buffet, you can eat as much as you want because there is enough food available for the number of people that are there. So if you have enough resources, now they are not fighting for resources. You don't need a tiebreaker anymore. So the concept of work, concept of money will no longer be important. Another way to think about it is that if everybody is son of a king, right? So if you are son of a sheikh of Dubai, do you really need to work for money? Do you really need a job, so to say? So being jobless or not being able to make money does not even factor in. That has no meaning. So everybody is son of a sheikh, and now everybody has a choice what they want to do with their time. They like music, they like solving mental games, they like physical activity, whatever they like, they can participate in those things and pursue those things, etc., etc. So yeah,
Okay, Charlie. Now
Yeah,
that you
Not
have entered
really.
into the
Not
zone of
not
philosophy,
not
I
not
think
really sold. Not really on board with that, because at the back of it, I mean, I mean, we all are using some kind of a corporation, like be OpenAI,
Yeah.
Microsoft, whatever it is. They're still making money. The money is not going anywhere. Money is the primary driver. You take the money out of this equation, tomorrow we won't be discussing AI. I'm 100% sure of that. So the
so.
money is
I
definitely
thought,
going to be there.
Somo, I thought the context of your question was कि भाई बच्चों को क्या सिखाना है बाकी ठीक है
Exactly. So I was
after
exactly
50 years
that's what I
बाद
was
में क्या
coming
होने
to.
वाला है 200 साल बाद ओके आई डोंट
बच्चों
केयर
को
मच
क्या
अबाउट
सिखाना है? वही क्रिकेट खेलना तो ठीक है,
curiosity,
वो
curiosity.
तो सिखा ही देते हैं.
Actually, देखो पता है बच्चों का उतना प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. The problem is more with our generation and like people who are 30 plus ना, they have a bigger problem to deal with, क्योंकि next generation will be AI native anyway. And even what we are seeing right now is a lot of young people that we are hiring, they are able to understand, adapt, and figure out how to leverage AI much, much faster than people of our age, because we are so hardwired in the old ways, and वो hardwire को unlearn करके rewiring करना is a lot harder. So the biggest
Mhm.
for our generation, and maybe one or like people slightly younger than us, they have the hardest challenge. जो हमसे बड़े हैं वो they are already like close to their retirement, they have made enough money, they don't care. And हमारी generation और हमारे just बाद वाले लोग हैं, तो those are the people who are at the highest risk.
so Charlie, now that you have entered a little bit on the philosophical side, I must make a comment. I'm not saying you will know the answer of this, but maybe something that we could discuss. I am not skeptic about the glorious future that is coming. I have no doubt about it that AI will take us to that level where the limit of materials and resources will be very little. But what I really doubt is the distribution of that. I can easily
Yes.
see that in some big rich companies, big country like rich
Big
countries,
countries.
will reach there very soon, very quickly. But the rest of the world will pretty much remain the same. That's my thinking. So how do you think that will unfold?
नहीं देखो, short term में there will be all kinds of chaos. In short term, there will be people who will try to hoard power, who will yield maximum no control and so on. So short term में there will be all kinds of chaos. But then gradually, as all these things become so abundant, their marginal cost of production will be close to zero.
For
And
whom? For whom? Not for everyone. Like for
Some people don't want to produce, right?
consider
They
a
don't.
country which has no access to building AI. Like even India is not native AI is not there. Like for example, an OpenAI and all of these are all Silicon Valley based, right? country which does not produce its own AI, and then its labor force, like we have TCS, Infosys, which are useless in a few years, in 5 years maybe, right? So then what? So how does India or Bangladesh or this country, what is the loop that their people will be needed by Americans for what? Nothing, right? They're useless class.
Yes, they are useless. So all the SaaS companies, all this outsourcing industry, etc., all this is like under threat. Like it's not required anymore because like they can get all those things done themselves. So why would they outsource
Yes,
anything?
exactly.
This Infosys, etc. So yes, a lot of those things are under existential threat. See, again, short term, there will be a lot of chaos, and people who have built this technology, who control this technology, will have immense power over
Yes.
everybody else. However, in the long term, there will be no advantage of having that power. In the long term, there will be just so much abundance that they would not care. They will be like, अरे रखा ही है, and we can like आपके पास सोचो इतना खाना है घर में, and your watchman does not have food to eat, right? As long as you are hungry, you will not give it to your watchman. But the moment
Yes.
abundance of food, you will be like, okay, let me also give it to this guy, poor guy. मेरा कुछ नहीं चाहता, इसको भी खाना दे देता हूँ, right?
So you're kind of appealing to the humanness will rise. You're hoping that the people who have all the power.
They will
Not
be
very
like,
sure
"Hey,
about that, but let's
You're talking about a trickle down effect, basically.
हाँ,
the
they will
trickle
be
down
like,
of humanity.
see, basically, they
To
will
some
not
extent, it
have
works, but not as much as you think here.
उतना एडवांटेज
I
कुछ
mean,
रहेगा उसको होल्ड करने का, तो होल्डिंग विल
एडवांटेज तो अभी लेट्स कंसिडर ह्यूमंस एंड अदर स्पीसीज, लाइक अभी भी ह्यूमंस के पास बहुत सारी चीजें इनफ हैं, बट वी डोंट रियली केयर अबाउट अदर स्पीसीज, राइट? क्या कितनी स्पीसीज एक्सटिंक्ट होती हैं, रोज होती हैं, सालों से होती हैं, उतना कंपैशन कहाँ जाग रहा है? मेरे में तो नहीं जागा अभी तक, पता नहीं।
अभी अभी तक प्रॉब्लम है ना, रिसोर्सेज फिर भी
इलॉन
लिमिटेड,
मस्क में जागेगा शायद।
रिसोर्सेज फिर भी लिमिटेड होते हैं. सो एवरी टाइम यू आर कंसर्न कि मैं किसी और को दे रहा हूं तो मेरे पास कम तो नहीं रह जाएगा. सो इट्स I think that equation will drastically change because there will be just so much of resource available that you would not care कि ठीक है यार बाकी लोगों को भी होने दो.
that's part of our DNA. I mean,
हाँ
तुम
exactly.
benchmark change हुए,
हाँ
benchmark change हुए,
नहीं,
attitude में.
मतलब थोड़ा
But
सा वो
back to
होता है, you have some feelings about people in your neighborhood, in your like your maid servant, or the people you see around you, मतलब it maybe extends to your country, but I really doubt Americans will have compassion for Bangladeshis. वो कहाँ से आएगा पता नहीं, इसका कोई फॉर्मूला दिखता नहीं है मुझे।
well, I think वो तो ये philosophical हो गया. I'll bring
हाँ
it back to you, Nitin. When are you shrinking from 48 to 24? How fast?
Oh, okay. So again, see, the point is, one thing that we did is हमने कहा कि whatever we have been building so far does not make sense to pursue क्योंकि it will become so trivial going forward कि वो business बनाने का कोई मतलब भी नहीं रह जाएगा. So one thing that we did is we expanded our vision. We said we have to do something which is 100x harder and which is something which was impossible to do before AI. And that is where we pivoted to, or not pivoted, but we expanded our vision to not just doing drones but also humanoids, all kinds of systems, and become the operating system for physical sites. So the idea is that can we be the nervous system, or can you have a large construction site, large mining site with no humans कि हमारे system के through सारा कुछ चल रहा है और पूरी site का operations हम control कर रहे हैं. So this is a problem that we could not have even imagined solving 1 year ago. But now with AI, we think we will be on a path to solving it. Even आज के system are not ready yet. We will not be able to do it today, but we think where we are headed, there will be an intersection point in the near future where the technology will be available to solve this. And if we start building those pieces today, we will be in a position, much stronger position, 1 or 2 years down the line. तो उससे ना we completely reset our vision as a company, and which is a 100x harder thing to do. And because we are trying to do something so hard, we need a lot of people, because even after doing execution at 10x or 100x the speed, there is so much to do right now क्योंकि हमें humanoids भी integrate करने हैं, CCTV cameras भी करने हैं उसका, we have to get all the causal reasoning models figured out, lot of fine tuning required. So there is like tons of things to be done. At the same time, we want to make sure that every single person at our company is full stack, is able to go from start to end, is able to operate independently with a lot of context, with very high agency, with lot of curiosity, lot of experimentation. And the reason that we shrunk the team is because we had to let people go जो उस mode में नहीं कर पा रहे थे. And उसकी वजह से rest of the guys were getting slowed down. And so like as we started making a higher talent density team, we were able to clearly see ramp up in terms of speed at which we are able to do things. Because ये सारे अभी high agency लोग हैं जो पूरा सोच सकते हैं, and they are able to take a lot of initiatives, think about like what the customer wants, how to deliver value. तो वो independently बहुत सोच पाते हैं, and that is the reason we are able to
एक
take.
एक इन लोगों में भी डाउट आता होगा कि यार ये 100 से 48 हो गए, आज मैं सोच पा रहा हूँ, मेरी तारीफ भी हो रही है, कल जब 24 होंगे तो मेरा नंबर भी जाएगा, तो मैं ये एआई को बहुत इंडिपेंडेंट बनाऊं कि मैं अपना बचा के रखूं कि मेरा रोल है.
तो वो एआई को अगर इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं बना रहे हो तो आपका एनीवे रोल चलेगा. तो
यार ये
see, we today we will be able to hire additional 50 people provided we are able to find the right guys जो AI के संग में मिलकर के 100x पे ऑपरेट कर सकते हैं.
अच्छा.
And the thought process again is कि ये जो भी लोग हैं टीम में, if they understand that they are becoming highly valuable, they are becoming more employable, working with a team like this by understanding these concepts and operating at that level. क्योंकि अभी देखो ना, Meta is hiring people at 100 million or $1 billion पे, and at the same time people are getting fired in droves, right? So एक तरफ 10,000 लोग को फायर कर रहे हैं और एक तरफ एक बंदे को 100 million पे हायर कर रहे हैं. So the contrast, the dynamic range between one person versus another person is so large right now, and you want to be on the higher side. और वो higher side में रहना है तो आपको ऐसे environment में काम करना है, ऐसी team के साथ काम करना है, where you are becoming that person on the higher side of this contrast.
But to continue this, it also means that there will be very few people who will be able to operate in this way on the higher side, and most of the people will fall into a bucket where they won't be able to operate. So you will have the disparity between people who have wealth. Now I do not know. Again, wealth by itself, if मेरे पास खाना है, कुछ सब कुछ है, it doesn't mean I'm happy. I'm happy when I'm doing something meaningful. I don't have a food, that I'm still happy, as long as I know that I'm doing something meaningful for myself or society. अब वो meaning जब चला जाएगा ना, because I do not know what to do because the robots are doing everything better than I am. What do I do as a person? How do I become better? Or maybe my mental capacity or physical capacity will hit a limit. I do not know what that does to society as a whole.
Yeah. You are difficult to answer. I think we shouldn't pretend that we know the answer actually. ये सब तो
I have a different take on it.
Okay.
Well, this might not happen maybe soon or 10 or 20 years, but I can see down the line there will be a revolution, not only just AI in the sense of electronic chips, but also in biotechnology. So those are the human limitations जो है ना, so that can also be expanded because
नहीं, फिर अगेन वही होगा, किसका होगा वो?
So I think
इलॉन मस्क के बेटे का होगा, उसके तो 16 हैं.
eventually AI and human beings will merge into one.
Yeah. That's true.
Not all humans will merge with AI, man.
Not every, it's never all, right? It's never
Yeah.
all.
So basically क्या होगा ना,
All is
unless you do
difficult.
that, humans will be so slow to interface with, मतलब वो neural link वगैरह will become an existential crisis for humans, क्योंकि उसके बिना ना AI will be like, यार humans को मैं context दूंगा, उससे मैं, क्योंकि our IO is so slow, AI will prefer to just work with the other AI instead of working with humans, क्योंकि IO इतना slow है कि भाई इसको बैठा रहना तो मैं कर लेता हूँ. But once we have Neuralink and those kind of things, then we will be able to merge with AI, where we will be able to do that IO at that speed, where AI फिर हमसे बात करने के लिए सोचेगा, चलो ठीक है, इसको भी काम पे लगा लेते हैं, कुछ कर लेते हैं.
Yeah, but then won't people become more isolated? कि अभी we interact with other people because we have that one is our biology is built so that we have to have social interactions. But when we have artificial biology, we don't need social interaction. और चाहिए तो मेरे पास AI, जो भी AI friend, AI counselor,
अभी ये कॉल भी क्यों करेंगे हम? ये कॉल भी नहीं करेंगे. सबके न्यूरालिंक लिंक्ड है, सबको पता चल गया सबको क्या करना है.
सब निर्वाणा हैक कर लेंगे, निर्वाणा पैकेज.
निर्वाणा पैकेज हाँ इंस्टॉल कर लो. एनलाइटनमेंट.
Touching back on the previous topic, right? Like what I feel is that like usually what is happening with technology, right? Disparity increases, and I'm very sure disparity will further increase. But with this, what has happened is that the average living standard will also increase. It is not that like the disparity is going to go down. It will significantly increase in the coming year. Like that we were talking about the $100 million, and then there are people who are not even making $100. That's going to significantly increase going forward. But the hope is that the average will increase and even it will trickle down to the lower level. Is what
How? The question is how.
मीन तो
It's
इंक्रीज
never.
होगा, मीडियन आई एम
हाँ.
नॉट वेरी होपफुल, मीन तो हो ही जाएगा
How?
क्योंकि देयर इज वन
How?
रेट हाइट.
मेरे
what I
दिमाग में
told, like the
exactly यही
median
आ
will
रहा है.
also increase, what I'm happening, and the lower thing will also increase is what I'm hoping. But
मुझे अभी तक कुछ लूप दिखा नहीं है, उसको क्यों दोगे तुम उसको, मतलब अपार्ट फ्रॉम दया कि अच्छा मुझे उस पर दया आ रही है चलो दे दो.
not talking about there, right? Like just talk in terms of living standards. What it was there in this world 100 years ago and what it is now. The poorest people, how they used to live 100 years ago and how poorest people live today.
हाँ ठीक है, आई एग्री विद दैट, बट
that will happen, right? That's
नहीं, क्योंकि मैं बताता हूँ, फिर भी अभी ये होता है ना कि उसको मतलब कुछ सस्ता बॉन्ड, मतलब ना चीप लेबर, उसका कुछ तो काम है ना, चीप लेबर है तो उसको तनख्वाह दे दो. बट अब तो वो यूजलेस क्लास है, राइट, उनका चीप
नहीं,
लेबर भी नहीं
लेकिन
है.
आई थिंक प्रतीक क्या बोल रहा है, लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड इम्प्रूव होगा इन द सेंस आज जो गरीब है वो घर में बैठ के अपना घर साफ कर रहा है, बर्तन मांज रहा है, ये सब कर रहा है. कल को बिकॉज टेक्नोलॉजी विल डू इट एट सच अ चीप कॉस्ट कि वो वैसे ही हो जाएगा. तो उस एंगल से उसका आज के कंपैरिजन में लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड इंक्रीज हो जाएगा. लेकिन द मनी दैट पर्सन मेक्स कंपेयर टू द मनी दैट द एवरेज और top 10% people would make would be very different. I think that's what Pratik is saying.
सिद्धार्थ का क्वेश्चन ये कि वो एम्प्लॉयबल भी कैसे रहेगा, क्योंकि
एम्प्लॉयबल कैसे रहेंगे वो नहीं पता.
वो उसके पास पैसे, रोबोट भी है, उसके पास कुछ भी नहीं, इसके पास जीरो है, एवरीथिंग इज एक्सपेंसिव फॉर हिम, सैलरी नहीं है ना उसकी.
I don't have an answer of how. I don't have an answer of how.
But see, there is likely to be a huge social turmoil in next few years. मतलब बहुत बड़ा social revolution होने वाला है because people will become jobless. They will not be able to like make their basic living. अभी short term में तो बहुत chaos होगा, बहुत major chaos होगा. In fact, not even the purest people. आप ये सोचो जो हमारी age के लोग हैं जो managerial roles में हैं, they will become redundant very soon, right? क्योंकि मैनेजर्स की जरूरत ही नहीं रह जाएगी बिकॉज एआई कैन डू मैनेजर वाला काम मच बेटर. एंड एनीवे यू वांट टू रिड्यूस योर टीम्स इन टर्म्स ऑफ पैरेलल एग्जीक्यूशन इंस्टेड ऑफ सीरियल एग्जीक्यूशन में मैनेजर लगते थे जब हैंडओवर्स इतने सारे होते थे. तो इवन हमारी जनरेशन के या हमारे टाइप के लोगों को भी बहुत डिफिकल्टीज आने वाली हैं क्योंकि उनके स्टैंडर्ड्स एक हैं और ईएमआईज हैं और अभी जॉब जाएंगे तो क्या करेंगे. एंड whatever we have seen so far in terms of layoffs is just tip of the iceberg. Major layoffs are coming in next couple of years. बहुत major तरीके से.
Next 10 years में it is going to hit all of us in a major way. Societal जो change है, we are going to see it in our lifetime. मतलब I used to think this would be like 50-60 years later, but
yes,
अभी आ रहा है.
सेम. और प्रवीण मुझे तो लगता है 10 साल भी नहीं है अभी, मुझे तो लगता है 2-3 साल, मतलब जितना फास्ट चल रहा है. एंड इवन लार्ज एंटरप्राइजेस आर स्क्रैम्बलिंग टू अडॉप्ट दिस टेक्नोलॉजी. लाइक वी आर वर्किंग विद सम ऑफ द लार्ज Fortune 500 कस्टमर्स एंड डील्स आर मूविंग सुपर फास्ट राइट नाउ. लाइक जो डील्स करने में पहले 4-6 महीने लगते थे, अभी वो 1 महीने के अंदर फटफट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइन हो रहे हैं बिकॉज they are also eager to adopt this and they are able to see.
पता नहीं भाई, हमारी कंपनी तो अभी भी उतनी स्लो है. एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बन के साइन होने में साल लग जाता है. हम लोग भी छोटा चेंज करने में 6 महीने लगा रहे हैं.
भाई अपन सेम कंपनी में तो नहीं है.
So we know which company is going to get disrupted now.
हाँ, ये और मेरी अभी तक तो Fortune 100 में है, वो कब तक रहेगी पता नहीं.
नहीं भाई, चीजें बहुत तेज मूव कर रही है. लाइक इवन आई नो इवन मिडिल ईस्ट में पीपल आर गोइंग क्रेजी. एंड लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल एडनॉक वगैरह, दे आर इन्वेस्टिंग heavily into like AI and they are building a lot of internal stuff. They are working with external vendors as well and काफी स्पीड से काम हो रहा है. मतलब they are like lot of.
Yeah, but again, talking about disparity, right? The same company that you mentioned, ADNOC, is trying to hire our company in Germany, Covestro. And well, ADNOC is pushing things, but Europeans are taking so much time going through the red tape. It is going for more over a year. The talk is still going on the paperwork.
That is why there is going to be a lot of chaos over the next few years, and that is where I think for us what immediately actionable is कि हम सब कितने AI native बन रहे हैं, right? Because कुछ तो हमारे कंट्रोल में नहीं है. हमारे कंट्रोल में ये है कि am I becoming AI native? Am I 10x 100x more efficient than what I used to be 1 year ago? And if we just stay on the edge of AI, we have a much better chance of riding this tsunami instead of getting crushed by this tsunami. एंड पहले वो होता है ना, जैसे फ्लाइट में होता है ना, पहले अपना मास्क लगाओ फिर बाकी का
हाँ
मास्क लगाओ।
हाँ
आई थिंक राइट नाउ द नंबर वन थिंग इज कि हम सब पहले अपना मास्क लगा रहे हैं क्या? आर वी इंडिविजुअली बिकमिंग 10x मोर एफिशिएंट इंस्टेड ऑफ
या
गेटिंग क्रश्ड?
तो हाँ, उसी में आपकी हेल्प चाहिए। हमें आप बता देना वो कैसे लैपटॉप पे चालू करना है आगे जाके। बाकी सब तो ठीक है। एनीवेज, इन माय वर्क प्लेस एवरीथिंग इज ब्लॉक्ड, सो वी ऑल द एआई सिस्टम्स प्लेटफॉर्म्स दे आर ब्लॉक्ड, चैट जीपीटी एटसेट्रा।
रमाकांत, सबसे सबसे पहले ना जॉब स्विच कर लो, ऐसी कंपनी में जॉब जहाँ ये अग्रेसिवली कर रहे हैं, बिकॉज
नहीं, वो प्राइवेसी वगैरह के चक्कर में तो फिर वी हैव आवर ओन वर्जन, सो वेयर वी यूज चैट जीपीटी इन द बैकग्राउंड, लेकिन आई एम स्टिल फाइंडिंग लिमिटेशंस विद दैट। सो
मैं तो देखो काफी स्ट्रांगली सबको बोल रहा हूँ, जिसकी कंपनी में अगर एआई को लेकर के कुछ भी रेजिस्टेंस है, फाइंड अनदर जॉब। और जितना जल्दी स्विच कर लोगे ना, यू विल बी बेटर ऑफ, क्योंकि उतना कंपाउंडिंग हो जाएगा। एंड इन नेक्स्ट 3 months 6 months यू विल बी ऑपरेटिंग एट अ वेरी डिफरेंट लेवल कंपेयर टू नो वेयर। एंड दैट इज एन एग्जिस्टेंशियल क्राइसिस फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस इंडिविजुअली। लाइक फॉरगेट अबाउट द कंपनी, फॉरगेट अबाउट गरीब लोग, ये हम लोगों का क्या होने वाला है, पहले पहले उसका संभाल लेते हैं, एंड देन वी विल बी इन अ बेटर पोजिशन टू डू समथिंग।
एग्जैक्टली।
हाँ
अपना अपना देखो।
और मैं सही बता रहा हूँ, जॉब स्विच कर लो यार, मतलब ऐसी कंपनी में निकल जाओ, क्योंकि वो आपको स्लो डाउन कर रहे हैं, मतलब आप कंपाउंडिंग नहीं कर पा रहे हो।
गुड गुड।
सही है।
All right. So, Charlie, you took a lot of your time. It's
Right.
2 hours you have been constantly speaking, and we had a wonderful time. I am really happy to see so much interest from everybody. And thanks to all of you who really, really actively participated. This is really wonderful. There's so much interest, as you can see. It will
Yeah.
be very, very nice to have you again, Charlie. You have gained so much really hands-on experience. So, yeah, let us know if you have time in the future. And yeah,
What
it
I'd
was
be
wonderful.
very curious to
Yes.
know is how you use it for for your own workflow. You use सारे जो cloud code using, just your own workflow to
Yeah.
respond to emails is a simpler work case, but Baki, how are you integrating non-dev and non just, email automation kind of a thing? That will be very interesting.
तो मैं एक तो ना आप लोगों से शेयर करता हूँ, वी डू दीज रेगुलर सेशंस।
हाँ
I have attended a few of those which
Okay.
Pete is talking about. They do it on every Thursday, and some they do in person. In person, I would like to attempt. I have not been able to, but they are very short, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour sessions.
हाँ, so
And
every Thursday we do like, हाँ, sorry Pratik, बताओ।
yeah, I was just saying that some of them I find relevant. Some which are unrelated, I don't find relevant, but some of them are good.
और वो सारे सेशंस का ना रिकॉर्डिंग भी अवेलेबल है। सो इफ़ यू गो टू दिस ai@flightbase.com, इस पे सारे ना यूट्यूब के रिकॉर्डिंग्स हैं, सो यू कैन इवन ब्राउज थ्रू दैट एंड चेक उसमें से कुछ काम का है। एंड हाँ, मतलब we do it every Thursday. You can join that group. We have a WhatsApp group where we keep posting these updates. What we found is it's very helpful for us to do these sessions, क्योंकि internal team को भी और अच्छा conviction आता है, and like we are able to like further accelerate the rate at which we are exploring learning things जितना हम share करते हैं. So we are very publicly sharing everything that we are doing. Internal जो भी tooling किया है, we are also releasing lot of stuff in open source. Internal tooling, इंटरनल जो हमने जो भी एजेंट्स बनाए हैं, उसका भी धीरे धीरे वी आर प्लानिंग टू रिलीज अ लॉट ऑफ दैट स्टफ फॉर इट।
Yes, I totally agree. I think sharing is a very powerful tool to learn. Actually, people are
Yeah.
real.
Yes.
तो नितिन, जस्ट ऑन लाइटर नोट, पहले अगर इस टाइप का इनिशिएटिव किसी को चालू करने को बोलते कि हमें वीकली 2 सेशन करने हैं, उसको रिकॉर्ड करना है, 2-3 लोग बस यही करते।
राइट।
बट लाइक आई एम काइंड ऑफ admirable that you are able to do it with your regular work and then some
Yeah.
drive it
तो
with
वही ना, तो हर जगह वही सोचते हैं हम कि अब यार एआई के होने से इतने लोग क्यों लगेंगे, इतना टाइम क्यों लगेगा। तो अब ये सारा इनिशिएटिव इज प्रीटी मच लाइक आई रन दिस, देयर इज नोबडी एल्स फुल टाइम ऑन दिस। बाकी तो बस सेशन जब करना होता है ना, उनको बस मैं 1-2 घंटा बोलता हूँ, थोड़ा बस प्रिपेयर कर लो और आकर के सेशन कंडक्ट कर दो, बिकॉज दे आर जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट व्हाट दे आर डूइंग ऑन अ डेली बेसिस एनीवे। तो
अच्छा।
आई ट्राई टू मिनिमाइज कि उनका टाइम कैसे कम से कम जाए, एंड आई एम द पर्सन डूइंग ऑल द लाइक उसके लिए जो भी मार्केटिंग करना है, जो भी बेसिक सेटअप करना है, सब चीज़ें करना है। सो आई कार्व आउट टाइम माई वर्क एंड
And
जस्ट
who is your video editor? AI करता है क्या सारा वीडियो एडिट?
एडिटिंग कुछ नहीं करते। जो रिकॉर्डिंग होती है वो रिकॉर्डिंग जा करके उसका बना दिया है फ्लो, वो रिकॉर्डिंग ऑटोमेटिकली गूगल मीट से रिकॉर्ड होकर के हमारी ड्राइव पे आता है, वहां से जा करके वो यूट्यूब पे जाता है। तो
अच्छा।
तो वो सब ऑटोमेट कर दिया है, तो इट इज वेरी लिटिल लाइक वर्क।
बढ़िया
नितिन ये यार बहुत वैल्यूएबल सेशन था ये. While I work at a company जो AI first करती है, पर हम लोग भी we feel we are way behind a lot of people. तो यार वो WhatsApp group अगर कुछ nudge करते रहो हमें, like if you have the WhatsApp group, so that keeps reminding us, because our companies are not creating that environment like what you have created for your company. Right? So maybe listening to you and your demos will be motivating to keep us at least
Correct.
to an extent connected. And Obedor, you mentioned some newsletters or some other resources just for some lightweight reading कि क्या चल रहा है,
Yeah.
so that we are aware. And maybe so agar any other resources that you two guys have to, which are not very time consuming, but still like you spend a few hours every week and then you are still
I will share those. Yes, very
in
good
touch
idea.
with what's happening. So that will be very useful.
Yeah.
Sounds.
So
Can we reach out, Nitin, for like specific? अभी मैंने कभी ज़्यादा कुछ किया नहीं, but if I apply my brain, start using and get stuck, can we reach out and
प्लीज
the best way?
प्लीज डू. और ये मैंने एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप का भी इधर लिंक डाला है. दिस इज द ग्रुप दैट वी हैव फॉर नो folks who join our programs regularly. आप ये ग्रुप भी ज्वाइन कर सकते हो. देयर आल्सो यू कैन आस्क क्वेश्चंस एंड लाइक पीपल विल बी एबल टू असिस्ट यू. और मुझे डायरेक्टली मैसेज तो कर ही सकते हो कभी भी.
Okay, cool.
Connect you. मतलब like had a lot of fun, and especially like thanks to Rahman for organizing this. More than anything else, it was great to reconnect with all of you guys. बहुत दिनों बाद got to see like Prateek, Praveen, Siddharth, everyone. Anshul was here as well, so a lot of folks. So like really enjoyed the conversations, and look forward to learning from you guys going forward. So Rahman, keep doing this. This is really awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So Charlie, if you don't mind,
Thanks a lot,
yeah,
guys.
come and
Thank you.
visit us in person also whenever you are in one of the cities.
Yeah.
I travel quite extensively. Actually, I will be in the Bay Area. आप में से जो लोग Bay Area में, we definitely can plan to meet up in September. Most of my team will be in Bay Area in September. We are doing a complete like AI boot camp कर रहे हैं 1 महीने का. So we are spending a time there. बहुत सारे events plan कर रहे हैं. So where we will be going and participating in events and also hosting some events. तो वो साथ में मिलकर कर सकते हैं if you guys are there.
ठीक है.
तो बेरिया का एक ग्रुप भी है, व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप है, तो जस्ट मैसेज एनी वन ऑफ अस इन द बे एरिया, देन वी कैन ट्राई टू ऑर्गेनाइज एटलीस्ट अ सोशल मीटअप. तो डेफिनेटली
हाँ बिल्कुल सोशल मीटअप करते हैं. एंड इफ यू हैव सजेशंस ऑन होस्टिंग सम ऑफ दीज सेशंस, तो मेरी पूरी टीम ऑलमोस्ट आ रही है वहाँ पर. 15 लोग आ रहे हैं जो सारे टीम के सीनियर लोग हैं, जो काफ़ी कुछ मचा रहे हैं हर डायरेक्शन में, प्रोडक्ट डिजाइन से लेके प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट, सेल्स, मार्केटिंग, सभी चीज़ों. So we are planning to host some sessions जहाँ where we can share whatever we are doing, whatever we are learning, do a deep dive session. तो ऐसा भी कुछ प्लान कर सकते हैं.
ठीक है.
Wonderful.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you so much, and all the best to you.
Thanks.
Really helpful. Thanks so much.
Enjoyed the
Thank you.
conversation.
Thanks
guys.
everyone. Thanks for the
Thanks,
amazing.
guys.
Bye.
Bye, Ren.